Welcome to all my viewers. Today I'm here with my sister because I'd like to interview her on her experience with yoga. But before we start, I would like to share the experience of our grandma and mother. And in 1990s, that is before me and my sister were born, our mom and grandma were going to yoga classes. It was in those times when there were not many Christian churches around and different religious groups only started appearing here and there. So in search for spiritual fulfillment, they joined the yoga class. The service would start with exercises, then go on to Kali worship, followed by an audio with mantras. Their teacher told them to repeat the specific name of a god, which they would choose to be their leader. Our grandma believed the whole thing was from God. The teacher was also boastfully saying that this religion protects him from any harm, until one day he came to a class with a battered face. Then my grandma and mom questioned, where was his God if he allowed that to happen? Around the same time, my mom heard a clear voice in her mind, quoting Exodus 34, verse 6 and 7. Which reads, the Lord, God merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, and to the third and to the fourth generation. What is remarkable is that my mom never read the Bible at that time. She only knew that this verse must belong to the Bible, and she checked and found it there. They both made the decision to leave yoga classes and got rid from a pile of books which they had on this topic. Now I'm here with my sister because, notwithstanding the testimony of our mom and grandma, she did yoga as well. And not only that, but also taught it to other people and almost went to do a yoga instructor course. Tell us, did you know about the experience of our grandma and mom before you have started doing yoga by yourself?
Yes, I did heard about experience of my mom and grandma, but nevertheless I still went to do it because I was convincing them that it's all right to do so, because I was just doing a physical practice which is called Hatha Yoga, and it was not involved into spiritual practice as I thought at that time, which includes meditation and maybe worshipping their gods, as you named Kali and all these other Hindu gods. So I was making sure that's only for my health and for physical benefits and nothing more.
Yeah, for physical fitness, so
yes.
to speak. So they were doing it for spiritual purposes, and my sister found yoga to be good for just physical health, basically. Yes. Okay, so when did you first start doing yoga?
I first started doing it, not seriously, I just took a couple classes. The first one I did at the age of 13, and we had a physical practice, and after that it followed some kind of meditation, because we all sit in the circle and the lotus position, and then all the people close their eyes, they put their hands in this position and started to make sound Om, like Om. Om. And I was just sitting around and I was like, what's going on? I was not participating in that because I knew this is already something over physical practice. And they did it for about 15 seconds and then they stopped. And then they said, thank you very much. And then everybody left. And I was thinking, did they even get any benefit from just saying this Om? So it's called mantra, right?
Yeah.
And well, seriously, I started to take it only when I went to work overseas in Greece. I was working as a fitness instructor for guests, but I was taught yoga routine, and this is when I started to look into more serious practice because it made me feel good. So this is when I was thinking into long-term participating in yoga activities, but I was doing also before that other fitness before yoga. I was doing Pilates, swimming, aqua gym, all other stuff.
So yoga was just one of the exercise routines that you were doing. It wasn't just yoga that you were particularly choosing. It was one apart, one along the other.
Yes,
exercise.
it was a part, like, because I had to lead other fitness classes, but somehow I really enjoy doing yoga more than any other activities, more than any other fitness. It made me feel differently from any other activities. I felt more grounded, more centered, more stress released, and I was thinking, this is something different. This is something I haven't experienced before, and this is why I decided to look into doing that more serious, because I definitely could feel benefits from that. And this is why I was thinking, why not to become even yoga instructor, So, yeah.
Okay, and you said that you were practicing Hatha yoga.
Yeah.
And how is it different, and what other types of yoga is there?
Well, there is a lot of different type of yogas. There's Kundalini yoga, and I will not be able to say
name all of them.
Yeah, name all of them, because there's very big variety. But Hatha yoga only includes physical exercises or breathing, and they say by breathing you kind of help your energy come through your canals and cleanse it. They call it prana, or maybe also chi energy, which flows through you. And during exercises, you pretty much should not focus on exercise. You pretty much focus on your breathing all the time. So that's what makes it so different from anything else, because during any other fitness exercises, you focus on your muscles, you focus on your position, you focus on counting and on your muscles. But here it's just purely breathing. And this is why they say yoga for relaxation, yoga for mind and body, and you're like, why mind and body, why is it involving both, But yeah, this is how it makes you feel good, because you also breathe and do exercises. And I was enjoying not just doing it, but leading people, because I wanted them to experience what I experienced. I wanted to give them the feeling of being grounded and more calm, and experiencing maybe some kind of euphoria as well. So this is why I wanted to do it more seriously.
You mentioned that they say that yoga helps to cleanse the different kind of, what is it called, channels
Yes.
in your body. And I've noticed when I've researched a lot of different other Eastern practices that a lot of them also talk about this energy, and they say chi, they call it chi or other whatever energy channels. And like acupuncture, reflexology, and yoga, they all mention these kind of channels being cleansed. And with reflexology, for example, it's being cleansed by the person who is doing the massage on your foot. They kind of cleanse a particular channel that leads, for example, if they're pressing one part of your foot, then they're cleansing like liver channel or whatever, and then your organ is being cleared up and it's gonna recover. But there is no scientific background to this kind of teaching, and but unfortunately it starts to get even into our medical, traditional medicine. They start to get you, you can go to this Indian doctor who does acupuncture, and you're like, well, you say it's not scientifically proven, but they still introduce it. As with yoga, they introduce it in Christianity, thinking that it's actually just the exercise. But is it so? Like, is it really just an exercise? And we will find out what it really is. So you said that you were doing Hatha yoga and you were teaching Hatha yoga as well. And my question to you is, did you hear any kind of voice telling you that what you're doing is wrong?
Well, the first alarm I had when I was taught to do sun salutation yoga, which is a basic first routine, which is the most common in yoga. And when I heard sun salutation yoga, plus it has to be practiced in front of the sun, I was thinking this is a little bit suspicious. It sounds for me like sun worshipping, you know? And that's why I was not sure if I can do it, because I thought this is going against what I believe. I'm pretty much honoring the sun, the object which was created by God, you know, because I believe in one God of the universe, and then here I am worshipping the sun. So I was thinking, what can I do about it? And I was like, I got an idea. I'm just gonna do this routine, but against the sun. So I'm not technically worshipping the sun.
Okay, so you got your way around it, even though you started seeing that things are not really in harmony with what you believe.
Yes.
Right, and have you heard about the dangers of yoga at that time?
At that moment, I haven't. I started to research it later to find out more about yoga, and I did find a lot of things which pretty much prove that it's not just physical practice, it's a spiritual practice which comes from Hindu religion, and it's one of the way to worship their Hindu gods, because every single position represents some object, or like a tree, or like a dog, or something else. So it's either an animal object, and that even if you go to India, there are some statues, and if you come before that statue, some people stand in a certain position to honor that object. And if you will notice in yoga, a lot of do this kind of like palms together. Yeah, it's like the first association which you have when people do it, they're praying, right? So why would you do this in
front of an object?
Yeah, or why would you do this in exercises, which they call fitness? They call yoga not fitness.
Doesn't really make sense that it gives you any stretching or any
no
benefit.
Or if I place my hands up like that,
like this,
what does it do?
Nothing.
Right, so I can just stretch my hands like up like that, but why they do all this, you know? And the thing is that nowadays people don't question anything. They're just like, oh, it's just good, it's healthy, it's modern, it's fashionable, but no one gets into questioning what are the roots of yoga.
Am I right to say that, for example, as Christians, we worship God by praising Him, by going to church and worshiping Him, by spending time with Him, and doing living to the glory of God, and that's how we worship Him. But in pagan religions and in Eastern religions, they worship their gods through the exercise, basically.
Yeah, well, for example, martial arts are also connected with their religion. It doesn't go against or separately, it's all about worshipping religion, or associating yourself with some kind of animal, like in a kung fu, they're associating with some with tiger or cobra. And pretty much if you are not sure or you're doubting, you can always look up the roots of martial arts, Tai Chi, it's all about energy moving. You'll see that in Tai Chi, actually, they don't really exercise. They literally just move their hands around. You're like, well, what kind of exercise is that?
And they are sweating.
Yeah.
They have as if they've just been, running 10 miles or something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is all spiritual practices, and that's why yoga, they say it's mind and body, because actually the goal of yoga is to achieve higher conscience. But they're not gonna tell you when you come to yoga class, unless you're looking just for physical practice.
Yeah.
They will not tell you. But in general, if you research it, it says that it's the goal of any yoga is to achieve higher conscience, and yoga is one part which helps you to do so. And they have other steps of of worshiping their gods, like morally being right and some other things, you know. So
wow, this is incredible. And you said that they're not even they're not allowed to even count, like when you do an exercise.
yeah,
You shouldn't be counting.
you shouldn't be counting. Like in any other fitness exercises, you usually count like 10, 9, 8, or let's do like 3 repetitions, 15 times each. Focus on your muscle or anything. Yoga, you should not do that at all. It's not about like repetition or something like that. It's about getting into this flow, into this movement, and kind of catching that thing,
Right.
you know. Focusing on your breathing. Don't focus on the exercise, you know. So it's kind of like being like you're kind of being absorbed into that, you know. You're not being present. You're really getting into that. While when you exercise, you're still being present. You should be present. But in yoga, they turn on this kind of meditation music. Sometimes they put also this aroma sticks, you know, to make all this atmosphere kind of like more spiritual, you know. This is what it is, you know. It's spiritual practice. It's not just physical. So.
And so you said it made you feel really good,
Yes.
like a sense of euphoria and stuff. So what happened there in Greece when you started, you know, doing these exercise like yoga and teaching it?
Well, I definitely was hooked on it. I wanted to continue doing it because I really felt very, very good after doing it. And I even wanted to do it almost every single day. And if I wouldn't do it, I would feel bad. Like I was like, I really need it. Sometimes I would even wake up at evening and I would be like, I need just to do yoga, you know.
Wow.
And the thing is, I had the problems with my health. I had anxiety and I was quite stressed. I had also panic attacks. And then I was talking with one yoga teacher, and she told me that, well, there is also breathing, you know, which is very important, obviously, when you exercise, but you can just do breathing by itself. And then I realized I have to do yoga even more to make myself feel better, because I thought maybe I'm not doing enough of yoga, so I don't get the benefits of it. Which is kind of funny because later on I was researching and some people were saying that yoga doesn't make them feel like relaxed. They actually get very anxious during doing yoga.
Wow.
I didn't have anxiety during it, but I knew I experienced anxiety and panic attacks, but it didn't really improve my health at all.
Did you think that it could have been connected, that since you started doing yoga more seriously, you started getting all those symptoms of anxiety?
No, because it's absolutely opposite. Yoga is promoted for relaxation, for being more calm and relaxed. So, and after I did yoga, I did feel calm and relaxed. So I could not connect it together at all.
Yeah, but not at that time. But do you think now that it might have been kind of a trigger for spiritual forces to make you want to do more of that yoga?
Yeah, definitely it triggered to make me do, because it gave me that that benefit of feeling high, kind of like of feeling good. So obviously you want to do it, you know. You keep wanting to do it. If I would feel bad after doing yoga, I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
So
what kind of information you have got to know that started kind of this process of thinking maybe it's not right what you're doing? About the book that you've read? Was it grandma who gave you the book, or when was that?
Well, I started to research and I was questioning if it's the right thing to do, because in Bible it doesn't say that yoga is a sin or acupuncture is a sin or anything
else.
Any Eastern practices is a sin. I had no idea about it. So I even was questioning before I started doing it and when I started to do it, and I was continuing to question it because I was asking my mom, is it a sin? And she said, well, you don't do like meditating or anything. I said, I don't do it, but I don't know if it's a sin to do yoga itself. And when I was like looking into becoming yoga instructor, I kind of started to see that you can't learn yoga without learning about religion and spiritual practices. So it's not separate at all. And I was thinking I can't do it, because even though I knew I'm not going to teach others I don't want to learn about it. And I knew that it can't be separated, no matter how much you want just to the physical practice. And I've even contacted a lady who is a yoga instructor. She was actually taught yoga in India, and she told me, if you want to separate spiritual practice from physical, you're gonna be a bad yoga instructor. That's what she told me.
Wow.
And I was quite shocked about that, yes.
So now here you go. All of those who think that you can do exercise separately, it's actually, what they say is inseparable. You can't separate.
Yeah. And she was taking it very seriously. She was like really looking into it like a religion, not just like a physical. She wasn't taking it like very innocently, and she was pretty angry with me. And she didn't seem to be nice with me after I said, I'm just looking. She said, you can't take it as gymnastics or as kind of like fitness. It's not just fitness. Yeah. It's much more than that. That's what she told me.
And Christians might think that, well, I don't care what this lady is saying. I'm still going to do the exercise part, and I'm not going to do meditation because I know that is definitely wrong. But what you're doing is just saying, I'm going to still listen to rock music, but we'll do it Christian rock music.
Christian way.
Yeah, Christian way. And the fact is that what Satan has blessed, you should not tamper with it or dabble in it.
It says we should not be participating in the deeds of the darkness and evil.
Amen. And the fact is that Satan has blessed the whole religious system, which is, yoga a part of, and you can't just take exercise and think that you're still okay and you are on a safe ground, because Satan doesn't care. He's like, the more people join in, the better.
The better, yeah.
Yeah,
the better.
I can now have an influence on their lives. And you might not notice in the beginning, like my sister was feeling so good, but then later on she saw the devastating effects and how it has changed her health and also what it has led to. So tell us about how from, you reading, but you still, when you read that information about the worship of gods and stuff, you still continued doing yoga.
I did. I saw the benefits, and I saw that I'm improving myself in that. And I saw how many people compliment me on how I lead yoga classes. They actually were complimenting me on other classes as well, but I didn't take it as personal compliments when they were doing about yoga, because it was something special for me. And even I remember I wanted to find out what namaste means, because I was like thinking, maybe it means peace be upon you, something like that. And then I found out it means the spirit in me is bound to the spirit in you. Wow. And I thought, wow, that's very odd. That's very odd. This is such a clear statement that this is a part of religion, And I was like, I'm just gonna remove namaste from my practice,
with sun salutation. So you had to adjust all the time. You had to adjust because you saw that it's just not.
Yes, I was trying to avoid anything what includes any part of religion. I was just thinking, I have to stick to physical practice, and I would try to avoid anything,
And Christians who say, who do Christian yoga went even further. You said that they have renamed the positions.
Oh, right? Yes. So some Christians, they say there's nothing wrong with doing yoga. We are even quoting Bible verses while we're sitting in a specific position, lotus or whatever, dog, cat, and quote the verse, and they call Mountain of Moses when they do position of dog. And just because you are renaming it or quoting Bible during this practice, it doesn't make it any holier or any better or any more acceptable for Christians to practice it.
Just like rock music doesn't become holier when you put Christian words on it. Yes. And people say that music is neutral when from the Bible we know it's not neutral, meaning that it does have effect, even just music without any words. Like with David, who was not singing, he was playing music to Saul, who was possessed, and the spirit left him. So we see there was no singing, there was just music played, and it had an effect on him. Just the same way as rock has an effect. Doesn't matter which words you put on it, the music itself does affect. And you said that rock stems from voodoo?
Yes, it does have a voodoo roots, and the rhythm of any modern rock music, it stems from voodoo, and even I think pop as well, pop music and rock music stems from voodoo. And we know what kind of religion is voodoo in Africa, with their worshipping of their own gods and spirits, so it's very dark magic, you know.
Yeah. So the same way yoga is not neutral and exercises are not neutral at all.
Yeah.
Right. And so at what moment did it happen that you have started questioning yoga and you've changed your decision basically from being happy about it? Yeah.
So at the moment I had to leave Greece because of my health was...
So your health didn't improve even after pursuing more yoga?
I was keep practicing yoga, but it didn't get any better. And so then I was questioning it during the whole time. And even when I asked God to show me, is it wrong to do yoga? And I got the answer. I had a book which was called Prepare for War by Rebecca Brown. And I opened the book and it was exactly on the page talking about yoga practice and that Christians shouldn't be involved in these practices.
Wow.
I still continue to do that.
Wow.
And only when I left Greece and came to England to you, and you showed me the testimony of one lady which had also experience with yoga, and she was receiving all the benefits, but then her health got really, really bad that even doctors didn't know what happened with her. This testimony somehow resonated with me, and this is when I repented from what I did. So no matter how many information I was reading about that, the yoga is connected somehow spiritually, and you cannot really separate it, and that even certain positions represent some objects and animals, and it's worshipping gods. Still didn't resonate with me, but when I watched that video, it really touched me, and I repented from doing yoga.
Just somebody's personal testimony who had the same experience, who was feeling the same way just like you, and it made a difference in you making that decision. Right. And also interesting fact is that no matter how many evidences God will show you, unless you want to really change, or unless you're prepared to change, if He says no to you, that's, that may not change your decision anyway, because God has opened that book on the page talking about yoga and saying, these things. And you've got so many evidences that this is worship, or, this is religion, basically. And you still decide, because deep in your heart you said that you wanted to, you wanted God to bless it, basically.
And I wanted Him to bless it, and I wanted to continue. I didn't want to accept the answer no, because I really enjoyed it, and I finally found something I really want to do, and I thought I can persuade, and I might be successful in it, and here you go, the answer is no. I couldn't accept it because I wasn't ready to change, and I wasn't ready to leave yoga. That's why I couldn't accept that answer, even though the answer was no.
Right. And we know from the testimony of that lady, which link we're gonna add to the description box. It's a very, very good testimony. That the lady, like my sister said, she started experiencing health issues after she felt so good about doing yoga, and doctors didn't know what to do about it. So she was looking for help, searching for help, and the only thing that would come out on the internet was just Bible verses and all the different, biblical websites. And she was like, anything except the Bible. And then one day she decides she wants to commit suicide because she couldn't tolerate the pain that she was having. And she was sitting in the car, and she decided, okay, she saw a Bible on the back of her car, and she was like, again, and she thought, okay, God, I'm gonna give you a chance, if this is not gonna help, I'm gonna kill myself. And so eventually she got freed. She found out that she was demonically possessed, and God healed her, and she's now ministering and has her own YouTube channel. which is exciting. And through this testimony, you have been convinced that this is something satanic.
Yeah.
And as we learned later on, and from the testimony that I shared before, we know that my sister also, she was possessed, but it was not that yoga started it all.
Yeah.
It's just kind of added or opened more
door
for more demons to come in.
Yeah, but we're gonna leave also down below the link for the video because it's quite long. So yeah, but I want to say the testimonies are very powerful, and we do need to share what God is doing in our life to aware people and to make sure that people know the devices of the devil, that it's not a joke, and you cannot mess with something what he blessed, and you cannot discredit, if God says do not participate in that, stay away from it, do not touch it, do not touch it, do not participate in that. Always pray before you participate. If you're not sure about it, pray, and do not do it until you're sure. This is fine, it's safe for me, because as soon as you step on it, there's no guarantee that God will be safe. You cannot pray to God, oh, please bless me and anoint me, and then you go to yoga class. You can't do such a thing. You're not going to be anointed because He warned you in His word.
Yes. God is not going to be there because He already warned you. And you can't just say, I'll do it anyway, God, and I don't care if you are not pleased with it. Just bless me. You can't do this. It's very blasphemous to do that anyway. And the Bible says whatever is not of faith is sin. So if you're not sure, then it means you're not having faith that this is the thing that you can actually participate in. Means that this is going to be sin for you, whatever it is. If you're not sure, it's a sin for you to do that. And I also wanted to mention about Christians, how they take yoga, what we mentioned just so far is just... in your opinion, can Christians just take the exercises, once more I want to reiterate, can they take the exercises apart from the spiritual practice and just do exercises by themselves without any meditation, breathing?
No, they can't. They can't because it's already in the system of worshipping. It doesn't matter if you're not participating in meditation, same like martial arts. It all has the same roots and they all come to the worship of the sun, actually. This symbol, the circle, represents the sun, and if you go to the roots of their religion, they all worship sun. Any martial arts, Tai Chi, Taekwondo, Karate, and I watched also amazing, powerful testimony by one man who participated in almost all kind of martial arts, and then he found out about the roots, and he somehow tried to separate it, also like me. Because he was teaching people, and then he realized he can't separate. It's just inseparable. It's like so deep in the roots that you cannot practice physical part without being involved in the spiritual part. So eventually he had to stop doing all of that, and he repented. But this is also very powerful testimony,
and we will leave the link as well. So to those testimonies and for your personal testimony as well. And I wanted to ask, well, what about if somebody just wants to stretch their back or do like, the cobra thing on the floor? It's like when you just kind of lift your chest from the floor. Is it bad as well, or is it...
Well, I would think like if you know where it comes from, this exercise, and what it represents, cobra, the name of the snake, I would suggest to avoid it. If you just take